They say blood is thicker than water, but nobody mentions how easily it can be drained from your account. My name is June, and I learned that lesson at exactly 3:47 a.m. on a Tuesday when my banking app sent me a notification that changed everything. But let me back up. I was always the safe one. The daughter who never got arrested, never brought home mysterious hickeys or failing grades, never caused drama at family dinners or demanded attention, while my brother Ryan was out there living his best life, partying through college, landing his dream job in finance, charming everyone from our parents to the grocery store clerk. I was in the background, working, saving, planning, 3 jobs. That's what it took. Mornings at the coffee shop, afternoons doing freelance graphic design, evenings teaching art classes to kids whose parents actually believed in their dreams. For 4 years, I lived like a monk. No vacations, no fancy dinners, no impulse purchases. Every dollar had a purpose. $78,000. That's what I managed to save. Every cent earmarked for my art studio, the one I'd been dreaming about since I was 12, and realised I could make people feel things with just a pencil and paper. Last month, I finally worked up the courage to share my business plan with Mom and Dad. I'd spent weeks perfecting it, printing it on nice paper, even including mock-ups of what the studio would look like. "This is wonderful, honey," Mom said, flipping through the pages. "You've really thought this through." Dad nodded from behind his newspaper. "Very impressive, June. Very thorough." "I know it's ambitious," I said, my voice smaller than I wanted it to be, "but I've saved enough for the first year's rent, equipment, everything. I could really make this work." "Of course you could," Mum smiled. "We're so proud of you." Ryan wasn't there for that conversation. He was busy planning his engagement party, his destination bachelor party, his dream wedding to Daphne, the Instagram influencer with the perfect life, and the ring that cost more than my car. But he was there the next week when I got the call. "June?" The bank representative's voice was professional but confused. "I'm calling about the large withdrawal from your savings account. We wanted to confirm this was authorised." My stomach dropped. "What withdrawal?" "The transfer of $78,000 to the joint account holder. It went through yesterday." Joint account holder. The words hit me like ice water. I'd forgotten about that old account, the one Mom had insisted on opening when I turned 18. "For emergencies," she'd said, "just in case you ever need us to help with something important." I hung up and called Mum immediately. "Oh, that," she said when I confronted her, like I was asking about the weather. "We needed it for Ryan's wedding. The venue required full payment up front. You took my money without asking." "It's not your money, June. It's family money, and family helps family." "That was for my studio. My entire future." "Your studio?" She laughed, actually laughed. "Honey, be realistic. You're 26. If this art thing was going to work out, it would have happened by now." I could hear voices in the background. Ryan's voice. "Is that June?" he called out. "Tell her thanks for the wedding gift." More laughter. Dad's voice joining in. "Mum," I said, my voice shaking, "I need that money back." "The deposits are non-refundable, June. Besides, Ryan's wedding is an investment in the family's future. He's going places. This will benefit all of us." "What about my future?" The line went quiet for a moment. Then, "We'll talk about this later. I have to go. The florist is here." She hung up. I sat in my tiny apartment staring at my banking app. $0.37. 4 years of sacrifice, gone. Just like that. But the real knife twist came 3 days later. I was at the coffee shop, mechanically making lattes and trying not to think about my empty savings account, when my co-worker handed me her phone. "Isn't this your brother?" she asked. It was Ryan's Instagram story, a video of him and Daphne at some fancy restaurant, champagne glasses raised. "Thanks to everyone who made this possible," Ryan's voice boomed from the phone. "Especially the family members who know how to prioritise what really matters." The camera panned to show Mum and Dad at the table, beaming. "Some people save money for pipe dreams." Mum's voice was crystal clear through the speaker. "But June finally did something useful with hers, even if she doesn't realise it yet." Dad chimed in. She was always meant to support Ryan's rise anyway. Dead investment otherwise, all she ever did was hoard savings for fantasies. Dead investment. The words echoed in my head as I handed the phone back, my hands surprisingly steady. "You okay?" my coworker asked. "Yeah," I said, untying my apron. "Actually, I think I'm about to be better than okay." I walked out of that coffee shop and never looked back. The first thing I did was disappear. Not literally, though I'm sure my family would have preferred that. I deleted every social media account, blocked their numbers, changed my address with the bank. Within 48 hours, June Ortiz ceased to exist online. The second thing I did was find the cheapest place I could live that wasn't a cardboard box. "It's not much," said Mrs. Patterson, the 70-year-old widow who owned the house. She led me down creaky wooden steps to what could generously be called a basement apartment. "But it's clean, and the rent's fair." The space was tiny, basically a studio with a separate bathroom and a kitchenette that looked like it hadn't been updated since 1987, but it had two things I needed: privacy and a large window that let in decent, natural light. "I'll take it," I said, handing her first month's rent in cash. She raised an eyebrow. "Don't you want to think about it?" "No. When can I move in?" "Today, if you want." I moved in that afternoon with 2 suitcases and a box of art supplies. Everything else could stay in my old apartment until the lease ran out. I needed to start over completely. That's when I called Audrey. We'd been roommates in college before she moved across the country for a tech job. She was the only person I knew who could help me with what I was planning. And more importantly, she was the only person who'd never met my family. "June?" Her voice was surprised when she picked up. "Holy shit, I haven't heard from you in forever. How are you?" "I need help," I said. "And I need you to not ask too many questions right away." There was a pause. "Okay. What kind of help?" "The kind that involves completely rebuilding my life and possibly destroying some other people's lives in the process." Another pause. Then, "I'm listening." 2 days later, Audrey was on my doorstep with a laptop bag and a grin that could have powered the city. "So," she said, settling into the one chair I'd managed to buy. "Tell me everything." I did. All of it. The stolen money, the Instagram video, the dead investment comment. By the time I finished, Audrey was pacing around my tiny apartment like a caged tiger. "Those absolute pieces of shit," she said. "Your own parents? Your own brother?" "Yeah. And they just took it? All of it? Every cent." She stopped pacing and looked at me. "What do you want to do about it?" I walked over to the wall, where I'd taped up 3 pieces of paper. On each one, I'd written a single word in red marker. Red. Receipts. Ruin. Audrey read them out loud, then turned back to me. "Okay, I'm definitely in. What's the plan?" 6 months, I said. "Ryan's wedding is in 6 months. By then, I want to be successful enough that losing my savings looks like the best thing that ever happened to me. And I want them to know it." "How?" I pulled out a sketchbook and showed her the portraits I'd been working on. "These. I'm good at this, Audrey. Really good. I just never had the confidence to put myself out there." She flipped through the pages, her eyes widening. "June, these are incredible. This one looks like it's about to speak. I want to build a brand, online, make money, real money, enough to prove that their dead investment was actually the smartest bet they never made." "I can help with that," Audrey said, already pulling out her laptop. "Digital marketing is literally what I do. We can build you a presence from scratch." "There's more," I said. "I want to document everything they did. Every conversation, every text, every piece of evidence that shows exactly who they really are." "For what?" "For when the time comes to show the world." Audrey's grin got wider. "Oh, this is going to be fun. But we need to be smart about it. Legal, bulletproof." "I'm not looking to break any laws," I said. "I just want the truth to come out at exactly the right moment." "When?" "Ryan's wedding, in front of everyone they've ever wanted to impress." We spent the next 4 hours planning. Audrey set up new social media accounts under a business name we'd figure out later. She showed me how to use scheduling tools, analytics, hashtag research. My head was spinning, but for the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. One more thing, Audrey said, as she was packing up to leave. I recorded something the other day. I wasn't sure if I should show you. She pulled up an audio file on her phone. I called your mum, pretending to be looking for you for a college reunion. She said some things. The recording started playing. Mum's voice clear as day. Oh, June won't be coming to anything like that. She's always been a bit unstable. Honestly, we're just grateful she finally contributed something meaningful to the family. She was always meant to support Ryan's rise anyway. Ryan's voice in the background. Yeah, she never had the vision for anything bigger than herself. The recording ended. I'm sorry, Audrey said quietly. I know that must hurt. I looked at the 3 words on my wall. Read, receipts, ruin. No, I said. That's perfect. Save that file. For evidence? For motivation. Within 2 weeks, I had a new identity. Not legally, I wasn't trying to commit fraud. But online, June Ortiz was gone. In her place was Jay Reynolds, an emerging portrait artist with a mysterious backstory and an eye for capturing raw human emotion. Your engagement rate is insane, Audrey said, scrolling through my Instagram analytics. 15,000 followers in 10 days? That's not normal for a new account. I was sitting at my makeshift desk, a piece of plywood balanced on 2 sawhorses, putting finishing touches on a portrait of a woman crying tears of joy. The reference photo had come from a DM, a stranger asking me to capture her wedding day emotion. It's the stories, I said, not looking up from my work. People connect with the stories behind the faces. Each portrait came with a caption that told the subject's story. The businessman who'd just gotten his citizenship, the teenager who'd survived cancer, the grandmother holding her first grandchild. Real people, real moments, real emotions. Speaking of stories, Audrey said, you got another DM from that art collector guy. Omar something. I set down my brush. Omar had been messaging me for 3 days, asking about commissioning a piece. His profile showed gallery openings, art installations, the kind of high-end events I'd only dreamed of attending. What's he saying now? He wants to meet for coffee. Says he's interested in discussing a potential partnership. Partnership? His words, not mine. He sent his portfolio too. June, this guy is legit. Like, serious money legit. I opened the message thread. Omar's latest message was simple. Your work reminds me why I fell in love with art in the first place. Would love to discuss over coffee if you're interested. No pressure. Set it up, I said. You sure? What if he's some creepy old dude? Then I'll leave. But if he's not? I gestured at my tiny apartment, my makeshift studio. I need to start taking risks. We met at a coffee shop downtown 3 days later. Omar wasn't what I expected. Mid-30s, well-dressed but not flashy, with the kind of calm confidence that comes from actually knowing what you're talking about. Jay Reynolds, he said, standing when I approached his table. I have to say, your online presence doesn't do your work justice. Thank you. And it's June, actually. June Ortiz. Something flickered across his face when I said my last name. Ortiz? As in Alan Ortiz from Meridian Financial? My stomach tightened. You know my father? We've done business, or tried to. His expression darkened slightly. Let's just say your father and I have different philosophies about honouring agreements. What kind of business? Omar stirred his coffee slowly. I invested in a development project he was managing about 5 years ago. $2 million. The project fell through, but instead of returning the unused funds, he claimed they'd been spent on preliminary costs that couldn't be recovered. Did you take legal action? Lawyers cost money, and Alan had better lawyers. I wrote it off as an expensive lesson. He looked up at me. But I never forgot. I felt something shift in my chest. I'm sorry that happened to you. Are you close with your family? The question hung in the air. I could lie, keep things simple. Instead, I found myself telling him everything. The stolen money, the wedding, the dead investment comment. All of it. Omar listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. So you're building this brand as what? Revenge? Justice, I corrected. There's a difference. Is there? Revenge is emotional. Justice is strategic. He smiled. I like that. And I like your work. What would you say to a real partnership? I provide backing, connections, gallery space. You provide the art and the story. What's the catch? No catch. But I do have one condition, which is, you go public with your real name, June Ortiz. Own your story completely. My heart started racing. That would mean your family would know exactly how successful you've become, and they'd know it happened without their help. I thought about Ryan's wedding, still 4 months away, about the moment I'd planned to reveal myself. This would accelerate everything. There's something else, Omar said, pulling out his phone. I've been doing some research since you told me your story. Look at this. He showed me a dating app profile. The photos were clearly professional, but the woman was unmistakable. Daphne, Ryan's fiancée. She matched with me 2 days ago, Omar said, under the name Diana. Told me she was single and looking for something discreet. I stared at the screen. Are you going to meet her? That depends. How far are you willing to take this justice of yours? I looked at the profile again. Daphne's fake smile, her carefully curated photos, her lies typed out in a bio that claimed she was newly single and ready for adventure. What did you have in mind? Omar's smile was sharp. I think it's time your brother learned what kind of woman he's really marrying. And I think it's time your family learned what happens when they underestimate a dead investment. He slid a business card across the table. Think about the partnership offer. But either way, I'm going to help you with this. Your father cost me $2 million and 5 years of sleep. Consider this my long overdue collection. I picked up the card. Omar Chavez. Chavez Art Investments. One question, I said. Why help me? You could just expose Daphne yourself. Because, he said, standing up, revenge might be emotional, but justice is art. And you, June Ortiz, are about to create a masterpiece. Building a case against your own family is easier than you'd think when they've never bothered to hide their true colours. This is incredible, Audrey said, scrolling through the folder on her laptop. You've been busy. I had been. 3 weeks of methodical documentation, screenshots of text messages Ryan had sent me over the years, calling my art cute hobbies and suggesting I get a real job. Bank records showing the exact transfer of my savings. Even a recording of Dad telling a neighbour that I was finally contributing something worthwhile to the family by funding Ryan's wedding. The spiritual consultant thing is my favourite, Audrey said, clicking on a file. Your mum actually paid someone $300 to tell her it was cosmically justified to take your money. She needed validation, I said, adding another layer to the portrait I was working on. Mystic Marina told her that my savings were blocking my spiritual growth and that redirecting them to Ryan's wedding would align the family's energy. And you recorded the whole consultation? Mum put it on speaker. She wanted me to hear how the universe supported her decision. Audrey shook her head. These people are unreal. What about the wedding coordinator? That had been a stroke of luck. Sonia, the event planner handling Ryan's destination wedding, had reached out to me directly. June, she'd said when she called. This is Sonia from Elegant Events. I'm coordinating your brother's wedding, and I wanted to discuss your role in the ceremony. My role? Your mother mentioned you'd be giving a toast. She said you were just being modest about not wanting to be listed in the program. I'd almost laughed. She said that. She also mentioned you're an artist and might want to create something special for the reception. A live painting or portrait session for guests? That's when the plan crystallized. Actually, I'd said, I'd love to discuss that. Could we meet in person? Now Sonia was sitting in my basement apartment, looking slightly confused but professionally accommodating. So you want to surprise them? She asked, reviewing the notes I'd given her. Exactly. I want to do a multimedia presentation. Photos, videos, maybe some live art. A tribute to Ryan and Daphne, but also to family bonds. That sounds lovely. What kind of AV setup would you need? Just access to the main screen system during the reception. Maybe 10 minutes during the toast portion? I can arrange that. Your brother will be so surprised. He definitely will be. Sonia left with a deposit check and a detailed timeline. She had no idea she'd just become an accomplice to the most expensive family therapy session in history. Speaking of Daphne, Audrey said, Omar sent an update. I looked up from my painting. And? They've been texting for a week. She's definitely interested. Look at this. Audrey showed me screenshots Omar had forwarded. Daphne's messages were increasingly flirty, talking about how trapped she felt in her current relationship and how she needed someone who understands ambition. She's meeting him tomorrow night, Audrey said. Some hotel bar downtown. Is he going to sleep with her? No, but he's going to get enough evidence to prove she's willing to cheat. Photos, recordings, maybe even get her to admit she's only marrying Ryan for his money. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. June, this is your mother. We need to talk. Call me. I showed Audrey the message. You going to respond? Not yet. Let her sweat. But Mum wasn't done. Over the next hour, I got 6 more texts, each one more desperate than the last. June, please. We're family. I know you're upset, but you're being childish. Ryan's wedding is in 3 months. You need to be there. People are asking where you are. This is embarrassing. Your father is worried about you. The last one made me laugh out loud. Dad's worried since when? Since never, Audrey said. But I bet they're starting to panic. Your disappearing act is probably making them look bad. Good. My phone rang. Mum's number. Answer it, Audrey said. Put it on speaker. We need more evidence. I picked up. Hello, Mum. June, thank God. Where have you been? I've been trying to reach you for weeks. I've been busy. Busy with what? You quit your job at the coffee shop. Mrs. Henderson said you moved out of your apartment. What's going on? I'm working on my art. Your art? Her voice sharpened. June, you need to be realistic. You can't just disappear because you're having a tantrum. A tantrum? About the wedding fund. Look, I know you're upset, but you stole $78,000 from me. We borrowed it. For family. And frankly, June, you should be grateful. That money was just sitting there doing nothing. At least now it's contributing to something meaningful. Audrey was frantically gesturing at her phone, recording everything. Meaningful, I repeated. Ryan's wedding is going to be beautiful, the kind of event that elevates the whole family. You'll benefit from the connections, the social opportunities. Will I? Since I wasn't even invited? Silence. That was an oversight, Mum said finally. Of course you're invited. Your family. Am I? Because last time I checked, family doesn't steal from each other. We didn't steal anything. We made an investment in our family's future. Ryan is going places, June. He's successful. He's ambitious. And I'm what? A dead investment? Another silence. Longer this time. Who told you that? Does it matter? June, you're being dramatic. Come home. We'll talk about this like adults. I am home, and I am being an adult. For the first time in my life. I hung up. Audrey was grinning. That was perfect. She basically admitted to everything. She's scared, I said. They all are. Good. They should be. My phone buzzed with another text from Omar. Meeting confirmed for tomorrow. Your future sister-in-law is very eager to get to know me better. I smiled and added the screenshot to my growing file. 3 months until the wedding. 3 months to watch everything they'd built crumble. I picked up my brush and went back to work. The wedding invitation arrived on a Tuesday, hand-delivered by courier. Ms. June Ortiz, the delivery guy said, checking his clipboard. Sign here, please. The envelope was thick, cream-coloured, with Ryan and Daphne's names embossed in gold. Inside, my name was written in elegant calligraphy. We joyfully request the presence of June Ortiz at our destination wedding celebration. At the bottom, a handwritten note from Mom. We hope you'll join us for this special day. Love, family. They're really trying, Audrey said, reading over my shoulder. They're really desperate, I corrected. Look at the date. The wedding was in 6 weeks. The invitation had been sent 3 days ago, which meant they'd waited until the last possible moment to include me. My phone rang. Ryan's number. "Answer it," Audrey said, already reaching for her recording app. "Hey, Ryan? June, did you get the invitation?" "I did." "Great. Listen, I know things have been weird between us, but this is my wedding. I want my sister there." "Your sister who funded it?" A pause. "Look, I know you're upset about the money thing. The money thing? But Mum explained everything. It was a family investment. You'll benefit from the connections I'm making, the network I'm building." "How exactly will I benefit, Ryan?" "Well, rising tide lifts all boats. My success reflects well on the whole family." I looked at Audrey, who was making exaggerated gagging motions. "And what about my art career?" "Your what?" "Oh, right. The painting thing. June, you're 26. Don't you think it's time to get serious about your future?" "I am serious about my future. I mean a real career. With benefits, security. I could probably get you an interview at my company. Entry level, but it's a start." "That's very generous of you, Ryan. So you'll come to the wedding?" "I wouldn't miss it." "Awesome. Daphne will be so excited. She's been asking about you." "I bet she has," I thought, remembering Omar's latest update about their hotel meetings. "Can't wait to meet her properly," I said. After I hung up, Audrey was practically bouncing. "You're really going to do it?" "I'm really going to do it." "What about the toast? Did Sonia confirm everything?" I pulled up my email. She did. "I'm scheduled as a surprise guest speaker during the reception. She thinks it's a sweet family surprise." "And the AV setup?" "Full control of the main screen for 15 minutes. She even helped me design the presentation slides." Of course, Sonia had no idea what would actually be on those slides. "What about your +1?" I grinned. "Already handled. Omar had agreed to be my date, not romantic, strictly business. But his presence would add an extra layer of drama when the truth came out." "There's one more thing," I said, pulling out a package that had arrived that morning. "My business cards came in?" I opened the box and showed Audrey the elegant black cards with silver lettering. Dead Investment Studios, June Ortiz, portrait artist. "Dead Investment Studios?" Audrey laughed. "You're really leaning into it. If they want to call me a dead investment, I'll make it my brand." My phone buzzed with a text from Omar. "Package delivered. 250 catalogues should arrive at the wedding venue tomorrow." The catalogues were my masterpiece. A full-colour showcase of my best work from the past 3 months, complete with client testimonials and my success story. The cover featured my most popular piece, a portrait of a woman breaking free from chains, titled Liberation. "They're going to lose their minds," Audrey said. "That's the point." Over the next 2 weeks, I put the finishing touches on my presentation. Screenshots of text messages, audio recordings, bank transfer receipts, photos of Daphne with Omar at various hotels around the city. Even a recording of Mum's spiritual consultant session, where Mystic Marina had channeled the universe to justify stealing my money. "This is better than any Netflix series," Audrey said, reviewing the final slideshow. "You've got everything. Betrayal, lies, cheating, financial fraud." "It's not fraud if they had legal access to the account," I corrected. "Fine. Financial betrayal. The point is, this is going to destroy them." "Good." 3 days before the wedding, I got another call from Mum. "June, honey, I just wanted to confirm you're coming." "I'll be there." "Wonderful. And you're bringing a guest?" "I am." "Anyone we know?" "You'll find out." "June, I hope you're not planning to cause any drama. This is Ryan's special day." "Mum, I wouldn't dream of causing drama. I'm just coming to celebrate family." "Good. Because if you're thinking of bringing up that money situation again..." "What money situation?" "You know what I mean. That whole misunderstanding about your savings." "Oh, that. Don't worry, Mum. I'm over it." "You are?" "Completely. In fact, I have a surprise for everyone. A toast I've prepared." "A toast? That's wonderful. What's it about?" "Family. Loyalty. Getting what you deserve." "That sounds perfect, honey. I'm so glad you're being mature about this. I'm being very mature, Mom. You'll see. After I hung up, I looked at my reflection in the bathroom mirror. 6 months ago, I was a different person. Quiet, accommodating, invisible, the daughter who never caused problems. That June was gone. I pulled out the red dress I'd bought for the occasion. Silk, form-fitting, the colour of fresh blood. It was the most expensive thing I'd ever bought, but Dead Investment Studios could afford it now. You ready for this? Audrey asked, helping me pack my suitcase. I've been ready for 6 months. Any second thoughts? I looked at the 3 words still taped to my wall. Red, receipts, ruin, none. What if they try to stop you? They can try. I zipped up my suitcase and grabbed my plane ticket. In 48 hours, I'd be standing in front of everyone my family had ever wanted to impress, telling them exactly who the Ortiz family really was. Time to collect what I'm owed, I said. The resort was everything I'd expected. Pristine white buildings overlooking crystal blue water, perfectly manicured gardens, and the kind of luxury that screamed, "Look how successful we are." I checked in under my real name, which caused a small commotion at the front desk. "Ms. Ortiz?" the clerk said, typing frantically. "I don't see you on the wedding party list." "I'm family," I said simply. "The bride's sister-in-law." "Oh, let me call the wedding coordinator." Within minutes, Sonia appeared, looking flustered but professional. "June, you made it. Your mother said you might not be able to come. Wouldn't miss it for the world. And your guest? He'll be arriving this evening." "Wonderful. I have you both set up for the surprise toast tomorrow. Are you excited?" "More than you know." That evening, I slipped into my red dress and made my way to the rehearsal dinner. The private dining room was filled with Ryan's college friends, Daphne's influencer crew, and various family members I barely recognised. Mum spotted me first. Her face went through several expressions: surprise, relief, then something that looked like panic when she saw my dress. "June," she said, rushing over. "You looked striking." "Thank you. That's quite a bold choice for a family event." I thought it was appropriate. Dad appeared at her shoulder, looking uncomfortable. "June, good to see you." "Is it?" Before he could answer, Ryan bounded over with Daphne in tow. "There she is, the mysterious sister." Ryan pulled me into a hug that felt more like a performance for the watching crowd. "Everyone, this is June, my little sister." "The artist," Daphne added with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I've heard so much about you." "I'm sure you have." "Ryan tells me you're very creative." "I am. I create all sorts of things. Portraits, presentations, evidence collections." Daphne's smile faltered slightly. "Evidence collections?" "For my art. I like to document everything. You never know what might be useful later." "June's always been thorough," Mum said quickly. "Sometimes too thorough? I prefer to think of it as being prepared." The dinner proceeded with the usual wedding party small talk. I sat quietly, observing, taking mental notes of who was there, who mattered to my family, who they were trying to impress. Omar arrived during dessert, causing a ripple of whispers. He was dressed impeccably, carried himself with the confidence of someone who belonged in rooms like this. "June," he said, kissing my cheek in greeting. "You look stunning." "Omar, thank you for coming." I watched Dad's face go pale when he saw Omar. Mum looked confused, but Dad definitely recognised him. "Omar Chavez," Dad said stiffly. "I didn't expect to see you here." "Alan, what a pleasant surprise." Omar's smile was razor-sharp. "I'm June's guest." "You know each other?" Mum asked. "We've done business," Omar said. "Haven't we, Alan?" Dad's jaw tightened. "That was a long time ago." "Not that long. 5 years, 2 months, 16 days. But who's counting?" The tension was delicious. I could see other guests starting to notice the undercurrent of hostility. "Well," Ryan said loudly, "let's not talk business at my rehearsal dinner. This is supposed to be fun." "Of course," Omar said smoothly. "Congratulations, by the way. Daphne, you look radiant." Daphne had gone very still. She was staring at Omar like she'd seen a ghost. "Thank you," she said quietly. Have we met before? Omar asked innocently. You look familiar? I don't think so. I could have sworn. Well, no matter. I'm sure I'll remember eventually. The rest of the dinner passed in uncomfortable silence. I could see my family exchanging worried glances, trying to figure out what Omar was doing there and why I'd brought him. After dinner, I cornered Sonia in the hallway. Everything set for tomorrow? Absolutely. You're scheduled right after the best man's speech. The AV team has your presentation loaded and ready. Perfect. And the catalogues. Delivered to each table this morning, just like you requested. The guests will love having a keepsake from the talented sister of the groom. If only she knew what kind of keepsake they'd really be getting. Back in my room, I did a final check of my presentation. 43 slides of pure documented truth. Bank records, text messages, audio clips, photos of Daphne with Omar, everything organised chronologically, building to the perfect crescendo. My phone buzzed with a text from Audrey. Watching from home via live stream. Break a leg or break their legs. Whatever works. Another text. This one from an unknown number. June, this is Daphne. Can we talk? Privately? I stared at the message for a long moment, then typed back. Tomorrow, after the reception, we'll have plenty to discuss then. Please, I think there's been a misunderstanding. There's been no misunderstanding. See you at the wedding. I turned off my phone and hung my dress carefully in the closet. Tomorrow, I'd walk into that reception as the forgotten daughter, the dead investment, the family disappointment. I'd walk out as the woman who brought down a dynasty with nothing but the truth. Sweet dreams, family, I whispered to the ocean breeze coming through my window. Tomorrow was going to be beautiful. The wedding ceremony was perfect. Picture perfect, Instagram perfect. The kind of perfect that costs more than most people's cars. I sat in the back row watching Ryan and Daphne exchange vows about trust and loyalty and forever. Omar sat beside me, occasionally checking his phone and smirking at messages I couldn't see. To you, Daphne, take Ryan to be your lawfully wedded husband, to have and to hold in sickness and in health, forsaking all others? I do, Daphne said, her voice barely audible. I wondered if she was thinking about her hotel meetings with Omar when she said it. The reception was held in a ballroom that probably cost more than my entire year's rent. Crystal chandeliers, white roses everywhere, a live band that had definitely played at celebrity weddings. I made my entrance fashionably late, after the cocktail hour had started. The red dress turned heads, just like I'd planned. Conversations paused as I walked through the room. June! Mum appeared at my elbow, her smile tight. You look very noticeable. Thank you. People are asking about you, about where you've been. What are you telling them? That you've been travelling, finding yourself. That's not entirely wrong. Dad joined us, looking nervous. June, about your friend Omar. What about him? Maybe it would be better if he kept a low profile tonight. This is Ryan's day. Don't worry, Dad. Omar knows exactly how to behave at events like this. As if summoned, Omar appeared with 2 champagne glasses. Ladies, Alan, beautiful ceremony. Thank you, Mum said stiffly. The flowers are exquisite. The venue is stunning. You've really spared no expense. Only the best for our son, Dad said. Of course. Family investments are so important, aren't they? Speaking of which, June, I have some exciting news to share with everyone later. Mum's eyes narrowed. What kind of news? Business news, about June's art career. It's been quite remarkable, actually. June doesn't have an art career, Dad said. She has hobbies. Omar's smile could have cut glass. Is that what you call a 6-figure income? Interesting perspective. Before anyone could respond, the band leader announced that dinner was served. I found my assigned seat at a table with distant cousins and family friends. The Dead Investment Studio's catalogues were placed at each setting, just like I'd requested. People were already flipping through them, making impressed comments about the artwork. This is incredible, said my cousin Maria. June, I had no idea you were so talented. Thank you. It's been a journey. Dead Investment Studios, read Uncle Carlos. Interesting name. It has personal meaning. During dinner, I watched my family's table. Mum kept glancing over at me, her expression growing more worried with each course. Ryan was oblivious, basking in the attention and congratulations. Daphne looked like she was going to be sick. The speeches started after the main course. Ryan's best man told embarrassing college stories. Daphne's maid of honor gushed about true love and perfect matches. Then Sonia took the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special surprise tonight. Ryan's sister June has prepared a toast for the happy couple." The applause was polite but confused. I could see people checking their programs, wondering who I was. I stood up, smoothed my red dress, and walked to the front of the room. The microphone felt solid in my hand. "Thank you, Sonia, and thank you all for being here tonight to celebrate Ryan and Daphne." I looked out at the crowd. 200 people, all dressed in their finest, all expecting a sweet family speech. My name is June Ortiz. For those who don't know me, I'm Ryan's sister, the quiet one, the one who never caused trouble. Polite chuckles from the audience. I want to talk tonight about family, about love, about the sacrifices we make for the people who matter most to us. I clicked the remote in my hand. The first slide appeared on the massive screen behind me. A photo of Ryan and me as children, smiling and hugging. This is Ryan and me when we were kids. Back then, I thought we'd always be close. I thought family meant having each other's backs no matter what. Click. The next slide, my business plan, the one I'd shown my parents 6 months ago. 6 months ago, I shared my dream with my family. I'd saved $78,000 to open an art studio. 4 years of working 3 jobs, living like a monk, sacrificing everything for this goal. Murmurs started rippling through the crowd. I could see Mum half rising from her chair. But you know what they say about dreams. Sometimes they have to die so other dreams can live. Click. Bank transfer records showing my entire savings account being emptied. This is what happened to my dream. My parents took every penny I'd saved and transferred it to Ryan's wedding fund. Without asking, without warning, without even inviting me to the wedding, they were funding with my money. The murmurs turned to gasps. I could see people turning to stare at my parents' table. But that's not the best part. Click. Audio file loading. Mum's voice filled the room through the sound system. June was always meant to support Ryan's rise anyway. Dead investment otherwise. All she ever did was hoard savings for fantasies. The silence was deafening. Dead investment, I repeated into the microphone. That's what my mother called me, so I decided to embrace it. Click. My Dead Investment Studios logo filled the screen. In 6 months, this dead investment has built a 6-figure art business. I've sold portraits to celebrities, been featured in galleries, and built a client waiting list 3 months long. The crowd was completely silent now. I could see Ryan's face, white as his wedding cake. But wait, there's more. Click. Photos of Daphne with Omar at various hotels. Daphne, these are lovely photos of you and my date, Omar, taken over the past month at the Marriott, the Hilton, and the Four Seasons. I especially like the one where you're telling him how you're only marrying Ryan for his money. Daphne collapsed back into her chair. Ryan was staring at the screen in shock. And Omar, I continued, would like everyone to know that Alan Ortiz still owes him $2 million from a failed business deal. Money that was never returned, despite multiple requests. Dad was on his feet now, his face purple with rage. So here's to family, I said, raising my champagne glass, to getting exactly what you deserve. I clicked the remote one final time. The last slide appeared. Dead Investment Studios, proof that pain pays dividends. I set down the microphone and walked out of the ballroom, leaving behind the sound of 200 people talking at once and one very ruined wedding reception. I made it to the hotel lobby before the chaos caught up with me. June, wait! Ryan's voice, desperate and cracking. I turned to see him running after me, his perfect wedding tuxedo dishevelled, his face streaked with tears. How could you do this to me? Do what? Tell the truth? This was my wedding day, the most important day of my life, funded by the most important thing in mine. He grabbed my arm. That money, we can pay you back. With interest. Whatever you want. I don't want your money anymore, Ryan. Then what do you want? I looked at my brother, really looked at him, the golden boy who'd never had to fight for anything, never had to prove himself, never had to wonder if he was loved. I wanted you to see me, just once. I wanted you to see that I mattered. You do matter. You're my sister. No, Ryan, I was your bank account. Omar appeared beside us, calm as ever. The car's ready when you are. Car? Ryan looked between us. You're leaving, just like that? Just like that. What about Daphne? What about the family? What about them? Ryan's face crumpled. She's gone. Daphne's gone. She left with her maid of honor. Didn't even take her dress off, just grabbed her purse and ran. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. Are you? Are you really sorry? I considered the question. I'm sorry you got hurt. I'm not sorry you found out who she really was. And Mom and Dad? What about them? They're destroyed. Dad's having chest pains. Mum's locked herself in the bathroom. They'll survive. How can you be so cold? I learned from the best. Omar touched my elbow gently. June, we should go. The media's starting to arrive. Media? 3 guests were live streaming. It's already on TikTok. Someone tagged Entertainment Tonight. Ryan's eyes went wide. This is going to be everywhere. Probably. My career, my reputation, will recover. You're charming, remember? You'll spin this into a story about dodging a bullet. Poor Ryan, betrayed by his gold-digging fiancée. And you? What happens to you? I smiled. I go home. I paint. I run my business. I live my life. Without us. Without you. The elevator doors opened and Mum stumbled out. Mascara streaked down her cheeks. Her perfect mother-of-the-groom dress wrinkled. June! Thank God you're still here. I'm leaving, Mum. We need to talk. We need to fix this. There's nothing to fix. Of course there is. This is all a misunderstanding. We can explain everything. Explain what? That you stole my money? That you called me a dead investment? That you never even invited me to the wedding you bought with my savings? We were going to pay you back. When? Silence. That's what I thought. Dad appeared, looking older than I'd ever seen him. June, please. We're family. No, Dad. We're related. There's a difference. I know we made mistakes. You made choices. There's a difference there too. Omar stepped forward. Alan, about that $2 million you owe me. Dad's face went grey. Omar, please. Not here, not now. Actually, here and now is perfect. My lawyers will be in touch Monday morning. I don't have $2 million. Then you'll figure it out, just like June had to figure out how to rebuild her life after you stole from her. We didn't steal. You took money that wasn't yours without permission. What would you call that? Dad had no answer. A hotel security guard approached our group. Excuse me, but we're getting complaints about the noise, and there are reporters in the parking lot. We're leaving, I said. June, please. Mum grabbed my hand. Don't do this. Don't destroy our family. I didn't destroy anything, Mum. I just showed everyone what was already broken. I pulled my hand free and walked toward the exit with Omar. June, Ryan called after me one last time. What am I supposed to tell people? I paused at the door and turned back. Tell them the truth. Tell them your sister was a dead investment who turned out to be the best thing you never deserved. The ride to the airport was quiet. Omar handled the logistics, changing my flight, dealing with the reporters who'd somehow gotten my name, fielding calls from his lawyers about Dad's debt. Any regrets? He asked as we waited for my boarding call. None. Not even about Ryan. He seemed genuinely upset. Ryan was upset about getting caught. There's a difference. And your parents? They made their choice 6 months ago. I made mine tonight. My phone had been buzzing constantly. Text messages, missed calls, voicemails. I finally turned it off. What's next for you? Omar asked. I have a gallery opening next week, a commission from a tech CEO, a waiting list of clients who actually value my work. And personally, I'm learning to be okay with being alone. It's better than being invisible. You're not alone. You have Audrey. You have me. You have people who see your worth. I have people who see my work. That's enough. The boarding announcement echoed through the terminal. That's me, I said, standing. June. Omar stood too. For what it's worth, I think you're the strongest person I've ever met. I'm not strong. I'm just done being weak. I boarded the plane and found my window seat. As we taxied for takeoff, I looked down at the resort where my brother's wedding had imploded, where my family's reputation had crumbled, where the truth had finally been told. My phone, which I'd turned back on for takeoff, buzzed with a notification. A new commission request through my website. A young woman wanted a portrait of herself, looking quiet but strong. I smiled and started typing my response. I specialize in exactly that kind of strength. When would you like to start? The plane lifted off, carrying me away from the wreckage of my old life and toward whatever came next. I was no longer June Ortiz, the invisible daughter. I was June Ortiz, the dead investment who'd paid the ultimate dividend, and I was finally completely free.